So, welcome to Northern Powerhouses, our business success stories series of interviews, where we discuss with local business leaders their backgrounds, their successes, their challenges, and what's really driving them forwards. And today I'm delighted to have with us Will Richardson, who's CEO at Wayland Additive. So, Will, firstly, thank you for spending a bit of time with us. And if you'd like to introduce yourself, your business, what you do, how you help people, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, sure. So, Will Richardson, I'm the CEO of Wayland Additive. I'm an engineer by background, so I originally studied engineering, and then I founded Wayland Additive in 2019 with some venture capital investment. We are a metal 3D printing machinery business, so we make and sell high value 3D printers based on our own proprietary technology that
Wow.
allows us to print alloys and geometries that other 3D printing technologies currently on the market would find impossible. So examples of that would be particularly high wear or high temperature alloys that are typically very difficult to print because they're very hard, mechanically hard, but also
Yep.
quite brittle. We can also print larger, more structurally load-bearing parts than other 3D printing technologies because of some of the tech that we've developed.
I mean, I'm going to say amazing because it just sounds incredible. So, I mean, you give an example of the sorts of clients that you work with, maybe sort of sectors that you typically operate in.
Well, I'd say it's across all the advanced manufacturing sectors. So that would include things like medical, orthopedic implants, defense, aerospace, even general manufacturing and tooling, for example. We see a really broad church of different
Right.
verticals that we work in. But there are a number of themes that really drive the need for our technology. So one could be, for example, lightweighting of aircraft, which reduces the fuel burn.
Yep.
Another might be transition technology. So, for example, the latest generation of power generation equipment might have a certain blend of hydrogen in the mix. And that means that there's higher combustion temperatures, and that necessitates new materials in some of these pieces of equipment. So
Okay.
it drives the need for new alloys. Another example might be some of the supply chain challenges that were first highlighted by COVID, but then have since been exacerbated by some of the geopolitical uncertainty we've seen recently.
Yep.
And that's really driving a move for more onshore production of certain equipment. So, to take one example, there's some parts that are cast in titanium. There's a real restriction of supply of these kinds of parts globally because of a shortage of vacuum casting capacity. And so some of those parts might be on an 18-month lead time, and that's unacceptable if these pieces of equipment are needed, or these components are needed to keep
Yes.
equipment running in the field. And so you could end up with equipment that's down for a period of months waiting for a supply of spare parts, whereas instead we could print those parts on demand in a couple of weeks.
Well, I'm going to say amazing again. Sorry, that sounds fantastic. Um, Will, you mentioned that you're an engineer by background. Perhaps you could just talk a little bit more about your background and how you got into business and why this particular one. You sort of touched on it, but maybe you could go into a bit more detail.
Yeah, sure. So I originally studied engineering at Oxford. So I got a master's in engineering from Oxford, and then after studying there, I went and joined an engineering consultancy just outside Cambridge. So really, there I was focusing on the whole product life cycle, really from identifying market needs, developing technology
Yep.
to address those needs through the whole product development process and transfer to production. In some cases, actually identifying issues, in-field issues with products, and then coming back and correcting those. So it really kind of covered the whole gamut of product life cycle, which was really great for a sort of a broad understanding of how technology and products are made and deployed, and how we really make sure that they're fit the market need and what customers are looking for. So that was really good grounding,
Yeah.
and I think has stood me in really good stead for doing the role that I do now. But actually, really, I've always been interested in not only engineering and technology for engineering and technology's sake, but how do we make it useful to people and to society? And
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I was really particularly interested in one particular field of engineering or one particular area that I really wanted to work on. It was more about the general concept of actually how do we kind of make things better and invent new things and make them useful to people.
Yep.
And the proxy for is something useful is actually, do people buy it and can we make money out of it? Because if people really find it useful, then they'll pay for it.
Yep.
And it's that's kind of the fundamental for me. And therefore I was always interested in creating a new business that therefore was the manifestation of that, was creating new technology, building products, and
Brilliant.
uh, making it financially successful.
Brilliant. So it was really about you. You just wanted to sort of encapsulate this in, and this was the opportunity that you
Yeah,
picked.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, you know, and um, there was an opportunity that came up. So I was living in Cambridge in 2016, and there was an opportunity came up. I was looking actually to move up north for family reasons anyway. My other half, she grew up around here, and we had our eldest son was a year old, so it was a good time to be around
Brilliant.
family. But there was an opportunity came up that was based on my co-founder of the business. He was until recently our CTO. He's just retired. He'd had this idea based on his background in the semiconductor industry. He'd seen this opportunity to take some of that technology that had been kind of developed and matured for decades in that industry, and he was looking at additive manufacturing and saying, actually, there's something that we can do here to really develop something new and different. And so
Brilliant.
I joined him in 2016, small team of engineers. We quickly developed some new technology. Within about 18 months, we had a prototype demonstrator up and running and actually printing some stuff. And we said, yeah, this has
Yep.
got some legs. And that led then 18 months later to actually founding the company and getting up and
Fabulous.
running and trading as Wayland.
Fabulous. So, since obviously founded in 2019, looking back,
Mm.
what are some of the biggest issues and challenges that you've had to overcome so far?
Well, COVID didn't help. I mean, we founded the
Um, I,
company end of 2019, and
I
six
was
months later,
guessing, but
everyone was locked down. So it's
yeah,
not easy to go and try and get a lot of feedback from customers and try and understand the market. We're all sat at home in our bedrooms on Zoom. So that was definitely a bit of a baptism of fire for getting the company started.
yep,
So that was a real challenge. Um, and so yeah, that was that was difficult. I would say that every day has interesting challenges, but I would say that it's all about learning new things and growing. I really enjoy what I do as a CEO of a startup because you join the business and go on that journey or
yeah,
found the business of taking it from nothing and building each part in stages.
yeah,
And so you try and focus on one thing for maybe 3 to 6 months and build up that capability and then move on, kind of keep going.
yes,
So each one you could frame it as a challenge, that you've got to try and overcome the next stage of the journey.
yep,
But it's another way of framing it is it's the work that we do, right? It's
yep,
the okay, right. The focus now is on proving out the technology. The focus now is we've got to get first product out the door. We've got to get first sales. We've got to build a pipeline. We've got to build systems and processes to manufacture the product reliably and keep the
yes,
quality high. And we've got to build a service and support function. Yeah, all of these things you kind of got to build them all, and they all cumulatively form the challenge of creating that
brilliant.
business. I mean, if I were to point to one specific challenge for this business, I'd say the challenge is that we're a venture capital funded business. It's deep tech, hard tech.
Yep,
It's a capital equipment business. It's got long sales cycle. So, you combine all of those things together, then actually, you've got to be really disciplined in how you do your cash management and make sure that you keep on top of that because
yes,
it's a challenge to venture capital is a lot of venture capital funds are focused on, SaaS type businesses
yep,
or, they want to see a lot of recurring revenue, but we're selling a, £1 million machine
yep,
that, is it, it's
yeah,
not that model. It doesn't fit the mold that a lot of these VC funds are looking for. So you've got to approach the right people. And the market does move and it does change. The sort of
yes,
advent of AI and all the money being poured into that doesn't necessarily help our cause because
yes,
again we don't fit that mold. Well, we do to some extent. We use AI within the product, but it's
yeah,
it kind of, you've got to follow the money to some extent.
Yeah, yeah. No, I can imagine that would be. So, did you have to sort of kiss a lot of frogs to find the right one, or did you manage to sort of identify the target VC that would be most relevant to you?
Well, actually, getting the first VC check, actually, we linked up with a local business angel who he'd exited a couple of businesses already,
Yep,
and he was really helpful in reaching out to his network and trying to help us find the right people to talk
brilliant.
to. And through that, we managed to get an introduction to our first VC investor, and they've stayed with us on the journey ever since. But they introduced us to some of their co-investors as well. So,
Brilliant.
once you'd found the right person actually,
Yeah,
and you've got a good fit, then it's helped us on our journey since then.
brilliant.
So to some extent, actually, we didn't kiss that many frogs. Now, since then, you do keep trying to find new investors, and then you go on this journey of reaching out to people, trying to evaluate whether you fit them and they fit you, and
Yep.
whether there's sort of an overlap in our interests. But it's yeah, it's something we do routinely.
Are you? Will you be going to the climb event, or have you been to the climb event historically? If you're familiar with that,
Yeah, I haven't been to the climb event actually. I haven't been to that event.
they're
No.
good guys. I'll talk about it later, but yeah, exactly that purpose of helping people find
Yeah,
the right partners.
yeah.
So, whether it's from your challenges or the successes you've had, what would you say the biggest learnings you've had about growing a successful business, Will?
The biggest learnings. I would say one of the things that uh, has been a big learning point over the past 12, 18 months has been about building the senior leadership team in the business, actually.
Yes.
So over the last about 12 months, we've really done a lot of work building the senior leadership team within the business. Um, and that has transformed the way the whole business performs,
Brilliant.
actually.
Brilliant.
And we've, I, I would say that to some extent, we might not have been ready to do it before. And to some extent, maybe it's a case of me and others learning how to do it, actually.
Yeah.
You can't start with the complete picture.
Yep.
But actually, over the last 12, 18 months, seeing how the business has changed and improved as we've brought, new talent into the team has been really, really fantastic. And actually, it's helped me to perform better. And actually, it's helped me to share some of the load as well. Some of
Yes.
the kind of, the mental load of trying to run the business because, it lives in your head, right? It
Yeah.
takes up a lot of mental capacity.
Absolutely. No, it makes perfect sense. It is. I often liken it to um, a set of. In fact, I do have a little railway, a little train set. But rather than having sort of fixed links, the link between the engine, i.e. the CEO or the owner or whatever, and the rest of the
Mm,
train is often elastic. Like we have to surge on. That's what the business requires us to surge on, and we can leave
mm.
that senior team behind a little bit for all the right reasons. But we have to help them catch up. But hopefully catch up gratefully, not just crash into the back into the engine. And it is something we do a lot of work, which is helping the senior team develop so they can take that load. Um,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
yeah, and I think I often say to people is, you can get to a certain size of business with a few good people in sheer blood and guts, just
yeah,
everyone working really, really hard. But there comes a time
yeah.
when you need to consolidate both the leadership team, the systems, the processes to turn it into something that's can scale to the next level, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, yeah, I think that I absolutely agree and absolutely recognize that. So to give some specific examples, we brought a new CFO into the business about 12 months ago, and he's
Great.
done a fantastic job. And where it's really helped is he's picked up some of the operational things that I didn't have the capacity to do as well as I would have wanted to. He's also done a lot of the work on funding rounds as well, which
Brilliant.
means that,
Yes.
again, that's lifted some weight off me and given me
Yeah.
more capacity to focus on some of the other things I wanted to be working on. We also brought a chair into the business as well. So we've now got
Brilliant.
chair in the business, and we've got uh, my co-founder and CTO retired, and we promoted a new CTO internally who's been with us since the beginning.
Brilliant.
But he's just again really stepped up into that role and done a fantastic job of really kind of bringing all of our innovation programs into line with delivering what we want to deliver to customers as a business,
Yeah.
and making some of those internal communications around that really, really good. And that's really helped. And then just this year, we've brought a COO into the business as well. So again, it just really felt the business kind of step up in terms of its
Brilliant.
capability to deliver to customers.
Great. I mean, it's so great to hear, because I think, I often say to people, if we don't build that team, then we become the limiting factor for growth. Because if it's all about
Mm.
us, then
Yeah,
we've only got so many hours in the day. We've got so much mental
yeah,
capacity. We can't do it
yeah,
all.
absolutely. And I think it really is the right time because as a business, we've spent the last 6 years sort of building a lot of the foundations and a really great product and getting that working really nicely and demonstrating that it can do something that's really unique and differentiated.
Yep.
And it's printing really nice, high quality parts for some great customers actually now as well. Um, but in order to grow, we needed to have that capacity within the
Yeah.
business. We're ready as a business to take that next stage and really sort of scale up what we're doing,
Brilliant.
but we can't do that without a team in place.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Will, I think you're aware we're a business coaching organisation. I'm just
Mm.
keen to know who the best coaches you've worked with, whether that's business, sport, life in general. Who's had the biggest impact on you?
Oh gosh, I mean that's a great question. In, I would say that a lot of the times I rely on my peers as being great great coaches and mentors as well. So if I look around at the people I work with on a daily basis, so I mentioned we brought for example a new CFO and a new chair into the
Yes.
business, and they bring both of them a wealth of experience
Brilliant.
that I really value relying on that. Um, I mentioned as well that we had a business angel who helped us get the our first investment, and I worked really closely with him. Um, yeah, a chap called Ian Golding, who's from a finance background as well, actually, but he was co-founder of a couple of hospitality startups,
Right.
and he again gave great advice, and it was someone you could ring up on a kind of day-to-day
Yes.
basis and chew things over with. And then actually some of our investors as well, fantastic in terms of the
Brilliant.
support they give. Those some investors tend to be fairly silent partners, and they'll put money in and that's about it. But actually, some of the investors that we've got in the business are really great at giving support to their investees as well. So,
Yes.
for example, our first investor, Longwell Ventures, are very good at giving support to the companies they invest in, which is great. Um, but I think I'm a great believer in surrounding yourself with good people that have a sort of positive, energized mindset. So if you're working with people that um, not necessarily throughout the organization,
Yeah.
throughout the whole company, if you've got good people there, then you can rely on them for good ideas and good support.
Yes.
I mean, in terms of formal coaches as well, we've done some work with a company called Horizon 37, which is actually owned by someone who's a personal friend of mine as well, and they've been fantastic in terms of
Brilliant.
some of what they've given us. Yeah.
Brilliant. Brilliant. And sort of on the theme of learning, what would you say you've learned about yourself throughout the journey so far, Will?
What have I learned about myself? That is a really difficult question. So much, but at the same time, I don't think I've really taken the time to um, sit down and reflect on that. There's I think one thing that I've learned about myself is my capacity for persistence and resilience, which I
Brilliant.
think are essential
Yeah.
attributes in any company founder.
Yes.
You will find on a day-to-day basis that you are coming up against things that are uh, many or most people would think are impossible challenges to overcome.
Yes.
And you've just got to have determination and belief that by chipping away at them, putting one foot in front of the other, you're going to climb that hill.
Yeah.
And a lot of people just don't have that tenacity to get things done like that.
Yes.
Um, so I think that that's one thing that I've learned. And because we only see inside our own head, perhaps, as founders, we don't understand the fact that that is not unique but rare, I think.
Yes. I,
Yeah.
I would completely agree. I mean, and it's certainly something. And with all the interviews I've done now with people like yourself, resilience comes up a lot
Yeah.
because I think it is that ability to keep going.
Yeah.
There's that old there's that old story about the Klondike gold rush. I don't know if you're familiar. They call it three feet from gold. It was basically this.
I
It probably says it all in the title. The guy
yeah.
that gave up after sort of 2 years of working his claim, and just had enough bricks broken him, and
Yeah.
gives up and sells the claim for $1 or whatever, and 3 feet away, the second biggest strike in the in the Klondike was found by the next guy, and
Oh gosh.
it,
Wow.
it's so. Uh, I think it's important. Obviously, the analysis of, are we still on the right track? Because
Yeah.
resilience in its worst form can be pig-headedness or whatever the right word is, but the
Yeah.
ability to go, no, this is just a problem. It's the problem might be big, but we can solve it. We've
Yeah.
got the right capability, and just keep going. It's
Yeah. I mean, sometimes being hard-headed is also a skill as well, right? Or a good
yes,
attribute, right? It's just got to be used in sparingly.
absolutely. It's that sort of, there is a constant monitoring. If I still believe it's the
Mm.
right, keep going. But
Mm.
just what is the situation telling me?
Yeah.
It,
I mean,
it's
there's another message in that gold rush story as well, right? Which is that sometimes you need a bit of luck, right? If you,
Yeah, yes, yeah. The next guy probably felt quite happy with
uh,
it. There's also another story about the Klondike, which was which I thought was really interesting in a totally different context. Was the guy that made the second most amount of money from the Klondike? Never. I'm going to say he never struck any land whatsoever. He was the guy that was selling the pans and the picks
yeah,
and the
yeah, yeah.
instruments and it's
Yeah, and they refer to that now as like a picks and shovels strategy, right? So
yep.
you see that routinely in various industries now, various industries where there's a lot of hype. So maybe it's and then you see it actually today in AI. It's not the guys making the AI models that make the money; it's the guys selling the picks and shovels. It's
Yeah.
Nvidia and the guys making the data centers and everything
Yep.
else. AI revenues compared to the amount of money they're pouring in are still pretty poor.
I I was told recently, I interviewed someone that's working on um, massively reducing the storage of video. So because the capacity that's required, because we store so much video all the time, and
Yeah.
he was, but they want their big goal is reducing power, reducing storage but reducing power, and it was something like AI at the moment. It was talking about AI in general, but currently takes 10% of the world's power, and something
Can't be
stupid.
that much yet, surely. Really.
I, but forgive me, and I can't tell you
It will.
exactly.
It will be if the projections are right, but I'm not
Never
sure
have
the
a
projections
conversation
are
with an
right.
engineer,
Yeah.
right? Right. Say it's a fair bit, but it's due to be like the majority of
Lots.
power
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
the
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
future
Yeah.
will be, and it's
Yeah. Yeah.
just
Well, lots of these AI companies are investing in like nuclear power
yeah,
stuff as well, aren't they? Right. So SMRs or whatever. Yeah.
just absolutely. So, and it's
Yeah.
it is something to consider, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, I know you're on the sort of on a very much a scaling phase at the moment and a growth phase, but
Mm.
I'm interested to know our definition in Action Coach of a true business is a commercial profitable enterprise that works
Mm.
without its owners. I'm just keen to
Right.
know what your thoughts are on that as a principle.
Uh, so firstly, as a as a background as a consultant, let's examine the premise of that question first, right? So, uh, is the assertion right?
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
right. So, is it a profitable business that works without its owners? I don't think it's necessary that it works without its owners to be a successful business, right?
I'd
So,
agree. I'd
the
agree.
owners are always, if you've got a, a, a startup business or a scale up business with the founder still present in it, the founder probably still has a disproportionate beneficial effect to that business compared to bringing in a gun for hire.
Yep.
And you often see startup businesses fail because they bring in
Yep.
just a salaried CEO.
Yep.
Not because the business can't function as a business without the founder, but because the founder got it to that place because of who they are and the secret sauce and the intimate knowledge of the product. And they probably got a very deep knowledge of
Yes.
everything from the deepest bit of the technology all the way up because they've seen it from the very start and they've created it in their image a little bit.
Yes.
So it's not, but I think the definition of the successful business should be more around, can business function if the CEO goes off and does the CEO stuff and lets the operational stuff happen without him there?
Yeah.
So it should be that you've got good structures in place and good reporting, that the business itself functions, but actually it still needs the sort of the guiding hand of the CEO at the tiller to make the business successful.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because I often put my own, I put can in there. So I put commercial profit enterprise that can work without
Mm.
its owners or CEOs. And I think for two reasons. One is if it is dependent on the CEO, the founder, whoever it would be, then it has a single point of weakness. Um,
Yeah,
and in various parts of growth, it almost not has to have, but it's bound to have. But I think it's also giving the CEO, the owners, the choice moving forward. Because if we get too embedded, then this is our life forever. If
yeah, and
that
it's,
makes
it's
sense.
not going to be scalable, right? So if every
Yeah.
decision is going to come back to the founder to decide
Yes.
yay or nay, so they make every decision, they hold the
Yep.
checkbook for everything. It's not going to work.
Yeah.
But the CEO should be looking after the strategy and the vision for the business, and making sure it's headed off in the right direction. But shouldn't have to be doing all of the operational stuff on a day-to-day basis. You're just creating a
Absolutely.
bottleneck.
Absolutely. So just looking forward then, well, what does the future look like for you guys, and what challenges do you think you might face, if any?
So, future for us really is about taking the technology that we've developed and now deploying it at a much larger scale. So, we've got some really great customers who've been using the technology for a number of years.
Yep.
They've proved that it can do what we said it could do, and we're starting to get the first customers come back for repeat orders. So, in order to scale this business, we can't just sell kind of ones and twos for advanced manufacturing institutes or something. What we really want to get to is 10 plus machines in a manufacturing setting where customers are deploying this at scale and using it for series manufacture of
Yeah, yeah.
product. So that's the journey that we're on. And really it's about building some of those strategic relationships in the target industries we want to be working in to deploy that at scale.
Brilliant.
So we've been looking at a really broad variety of different applications for the technology, and now we need to double down on the ones where we see some really strong interest in what we're doing and making sure that we're excelling at those and that we've got a really clearly articulated value proposition that we can then work to build scale in some of those opportunities.
Amazing. Sorry, that's the third time I've used that word, but it's very true. Will, it's been fascinating to talk to you, and I really do wish you all the best for the future. And clearly, it's very bright, and I'm sure there will, as you said earlier, there always will be challenges, but clearly, you guys are certainly well placed to overcome them and continue to the next stage of growth. And for anyone that's watching that would like to get in touch with you or the business, what would be the best way of doing that?
Sure, you can go to our website, which is waylandadditive.com, and there's an inquiry form on the website.
Brilliant. Well, look, with your permission, it'd be great to swing by another 6, 12 months and just see how things are going and what else you've learned and what else you're doing.
Absolutely.
But for now,
Yeah,
thank you
sure.
so much for your time.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Cheers.
Thank you.